And welcome back to the Askari Cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination series as well as the Umbani Chronicles. And I am joined once again by Jocelyn Short.
Hi.
She is a digital artist and graphic designer. She's a very talented artist. She's the creator of Bearers. She's working on the pieces that you see before you, which are my Portal Guardians. I mean, we're back. 2025. It's been a long time since we've been on stream talking about shows and other things. Today, we're basically doing a world building episode where I kind of will ask Jocelyn about her creative process and steps that she goes through. And also, we'll be talking about why this is one of the reasons why I don't use AI for my art, is because of an interaction that I had with Jocelyn a while ago when I asked her to do this art. Um, Say hello to the people, Jocelyn.
How y'all doing? How's your 2025 so far? I know it's been a long 3 months of January.
Yeah, it's been crazy thus far, but kind of chill. Um,
If it's been chill for you, I'm very glad.
well, I mean, over overall, it's been chill. Things are kind of getting crazy, but con season is about to start back up again. So there's always that. What's it? January, February. I'm going to Farpoint convention
Mhm.
here in Maryland, which is a Star Trek centric convention
Nice.
mostly. So we'll see what happens. Uh,
Are you doing it by yourself, or are you and Monica gonna go for the Star Trek podcast?
we're going for myself. I'll be with Artway Alliance, which is basically a collective. Shout out to Eric Suggs Jr. Uh, we basically go as a collective of different creators that will um, sell books, comics, art, other things within the creative realm, and we'll do panels. So I have a couple panels that I'll be doing for it. I'm doing the many faces of science fiction, and he wants me to do a fan fiction panel about, I guess it's focused on Star Wars. So it's not just Star Trek, it's sci-fi heavy,
Okay.
basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. So that's, I think, February 7th through the 9th coming up. And then March, we have a convention at University of Maryland Eastern Shore called HawkCon for the first time.
Hulk Con?
Hawk. I think it's their mascot for University of Maryland Eastern Shore. It's HawkCon.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And March 1st, I believe, it'll be taking place on March 1st, going down there. I'm doing a couple panels there as well. And then I think, is BlurredCon in March this year?
Mm-hmm. It's March
Yeah.
7th through 9th.
Yeah. And then BlurredCon and C2E2 in Chicago, as well as AwesomeCon in April. And then I'm at Philly Fan Expo in May. And I think Dover Comic Con's a one-day event outdoor in June. So that's pretty much what I have scheduled so far. So to the folks, if anybody is watching, what we have before you are three of my Portal Guardians. If you've ever played video games and you fast travel, um, these ladies here, these women, have the power to control these portals, which will basically allow you to travel from one spot on the world all the way across the other end of the world instantaneously. So the reason why they need guarding is because you don't want anybody to have access to these portals, because villages, cities, or whatever just get attacked, unwillingly, without even being able to know that there's an army coming, if they can just instantaneously show up. So we have these women with these powers that can control these basically open up portals from one end of the world to the other. And a while ago, I asked Jocelyn if she would create some of them for me, and she came up with various garb. And by the way, this is in my Yambani Chronicles fantasy universe, is where these women are. And then you asked me a bunch of different questions.
I did. I needed to know who these ladies were.
Hmm.
Um, like aside from just a general kind of like title of who they were, I needed to know uh, like who these characters were as people, and if you had thought about that. Just because the more information I have, the clearer it is in my mind to picture, like, an essence of who these people are and what they're about. Um, and kind of design thoughtfully of what they would wear, what they would look like, by kind of thinking through, like if this was a real person, you know, real people are granular, like the small things make up the person. So like what's their day to day like? Uh, what do they eat? How do they eat? Do they have friends? What kind of
Hmm.
friends do they have? Are they someone who talks a lot? Are they social? Are they not that social? Do they have family? Are they close to them? What's their station? In society, and how do they feel about it? How do they handle that? All that kind of stuff like that. Um, that helps me get very clear
Hmm.
on who these people are, what they're doing, what they're about. Uh, and I feel like if that's clear to me and I can depict that, that can be clear to other people. And that can also be used as a reference for you, as you're writing too. If you have the art and it's been very clearly well thought out about what they look like and who they are, and we've had that dialogue, that discussion of who these characters are, that's good reference for you to have in mind of like, all right, even to take into your writing, even if you've already wrote it, you can always go back and think through like, oh man, we've talked about this. I can, like, maybe this character maybe wouldn't say this or they wouldn't act this way,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So it kind of, it makes for stronger design, which can lead to stronger dialogue, stronger writing, all across the board. So getting granular with that kind of stuff is how I like to work.
Yeah. It's even deeper than that because you asked me um, if it was a choice or whether it was just because you have this power to control these portals, you're just automatically forced into the job and there's not a choice given. And you like whether it was a choice or not. And then you also asked me, well, do they have families? Are they able to marry or get a life partner and have children, or is that just not a part of the life now that they've been chosen for this role in these societies? And that was interesting because ironically, I had not thought of and fleshed out all of that aside from the fact that I knew that I wanted them to be women and I wanted them to be in control of these portals. And
Hmm.
something within them is what gives them the ability to do that. All the other details surrounding them, I hadn't thought about it. So when you ask those questions, it basically forced me to begin thinking of answers to those questions. And as I began to flesh out some of those details, two of them have names now.
Nice.
And I've actually introduced a second one in the third novel that I'm working on. That'll be in the desert area. Um, I think it's going to be the one in the middle that we have here.
Okay.
She's going to be in the desert, and she actually ends up being introduced riding a giant golden mole.
Ooh,
That basically, if you watch Dune, the worms, how they kind of sand surf below the surface of the sand, except for these are giant moles.
very cool. Very
Um,
nice.
yeah, so yeah, I hadn't thought of those details. And like I was kind of saying before, this is the reason why I don't use AI because I don't get that interaction that I got with you. Jordan Jackson, the same way, he'll have questions about characters. Brad is a person who's working on a comic right now. He'll be like, what's this character look like? We had a funny interaction because he was trying to give I, I'm a former Marine, I'm a Marine veteran, and the characters that we're working on are a part of a mechanized unit that basically gets cybernetic enhancements. And he was like, "Can I give this character a goatee?" And I was like, "Bro, no. Um, we don't. I mean, you can give him mustaches. There's regulations with mustaches and facial hair, but you can't give him a goatee." So had he not answered that question, asked me that question, and went ahead and just drew the character in the comic, it would have been an error because you can't have that. So you asking me these questions, I fleshed out more of these characters. I'm able now to, there's possibility that they can get their own story that will be another spin-off that we could work on. So no pressure. I know you're doing sequential stuff for you, but if we did a comic based on these characters, perhaps you'd be able to illustrate that for me. That would be awesome.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely opposed. I just sequential art is a whole different thing, and I am still struggling through it for myself. So,
Right.
so we'll see. But we can keep talking about
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This I've also wanted to do another world building panel, seminar, talk, whatever you want to call it. Since now I'm kind of expanding into even more mediums. We've got, I started out with the literary novels, and now we've always had concept art, but then we expanded into comic books and graphic novels. And I'd like to do one for my new project later on. Will be making a TTRPG based on the fantasy series. Um, Basically, my theory is that the difference in the world building is the amount of participants.
it.
Because when I'm writing a book, it's just me. And then the other participants come later when people read my books, and then they'll be doing the world building in their minds as they read what I wrote. Um, but when it comes to comics and illustration, it's an immediate added participant because it's me as the writer, but now you as the artist. And I'm hoping that whatever I visualized in my mind is able to be executed by your hands as you draw these characters out. Um, and then with the games, I think there's even more participants as the world building can still happen between me and the artist who does the art. But also, if there's a dungeon master running the game, he's reading and describing things and doing world building as they're having a game session. And then apart from that, there's a separate world building happening in the minds of everybody playing, which obviously is going to be a lot different depending on whose perspective. You know what I mean? What you visualize in your head as someone is reading stuff to you is going to be different from my perspective.
Hmm.
So we can be playing the same game and have two vastly different experiences as we're being ushered through the world by the dungeon master.
Very cool. That sounds dope. I'm excited.
See if I can look up my note here because I know the the pool guardian all the way to the right. Her name is Orana,
Hmm.
and I already have her. She's featured in the second novel. But I just recently the chapter that I was currently working on in book 3, tentatively subtitled "War of the Gods." You know, I think it starts with a U. No, it's H. Flonela.
Flonela?
No, H. Hlonela.
Hold it. Say it again.
Hlonela. Flonela.
Flonela. Okay.
She's the one in the middle, and she's the one that's riding the giant,
Oh,
the giant golden mole.
gotcha. Very cool. So what drew the decision about the mole? Was it just like, oh, this is cool, or
Well, I had already, funnily enough, there's another artist that's doing concept work for me, Jordan Gary. She's a student at University of Maryland Eastern Shore. She's been kind of doing creatures for
okay?
me. Um, and I'd already, when I initially wrote the series out, the big outline, when I was coming up with some of the creatures, it was one that I'd already come up with. I just hadn't figured out where in the story to place it.
Okay.
And since part of the orc-like creatures, the Jaimon and Yamani, they're in what's termed the Red Desert, and there's also a monastery nearby, a Tetsuo monastery, where there's monks that bless the swords that some of the warriors have.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's where the I didn't want to put Orana there because I already have her near a university.
Okay.
So that's what made me choose Clonela to be at near this other monastery. And a map that I had drawn up already has one of the portals there near the monastery to the north of
Gotcha.
it. So when I have these characters kind of wandering through, they're close to her territory. It was a good place to kind of introduce her, and it made sense that they would run into her when they get in trouble.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So what made you want to what made you want to include these characters, write them this way? Like, why did you want to have these portal guardians?
Uh, they're part of the function of the world,
Hmm.
um, and it kind of incorporates things that I was used to, like I said, in video games with fast travel. Like, well, how do we execute that? I didn't want it to just be some unmanned or unpersoned portal out in the middle of nowhere. Like someone needs to make sure whoever has access to them uh, is, doing so with purposes that are on the up and up
Hmm.
and not nefarious purposes. So
Hmm.
I wanted a group of powerful beings, and their kind of nickname is like the Mothers of Darkness too,
Hmm.
because the pathway through the door, even though the portals themselves light up, you're basically going through the void.
Okay.
Um, which also has some crossover with my sci-fi series, is I have a group of people that are like void walkers.
Hmm.
Um, so that was kind of it. I just, like I said, it wasn't anything that I thought of deeply at first. I just knew that I wanted a group of characters that would have a purpose of guarding and making sure the right people had access to these portals. That was the
Hmm.
main thing.
Gotcha. Very cool. I like it. It's acceptable. Just kidding.
How did where did you come up with the dresses for each of these characters? There's
Um.
kind of a lot going on.
Well, I mean, it came from our conversations.
Hmm.
I thought about who these women are. Um, in general, when I'm trying to design something new, I will try to start with what I think are interesting shapes.
Hmm.
But I don't like to design entirely without context, which is why the conversation was so important. And so um, I thought about who these women were, the groups of people they were from, like the types of women they are. And so I think if I remember correctly, this one that I'm painting on now, um, she, like her tribe, um, is more of like a nurturer type people, um, more of like aside from being a portal guardian, like her people are more like like guide people. I can't remember too much, but I just remember like wanting her to feel like gentle, um,
Hmm.
and also colorful, like kind of bright, because
Yeah,
I wanted the brightness to kind of stand out, like be indicative of like that like these colors, this way, this manner of her dress is not. It's like it's unique to her, but also her people.
hmm,
Um, and I wanted to like have that idea across the board for each of them, like each way that they all dress. I wanted it to be something that like like they don't all look the same.
yeah,
I wanted to show that they came from different places,
yeah,
um, and also I wanted the colors to kind of match how they are, like their
yeah,
manner. So that was kind of my thought, and also just a lot of the shapes and stuff, it's just interesting. Just more stuff happening. That said, if uh, there can be more thought put into like if they exist in the comic instead of just a novel, like some simplification might need to happen if these are characters that would be drawn over and over again. Like
hmm,
simplification of their design might need to happen, but um, for now,
yeah.
you know,
And
all
I took cues from what you gave me as well. The reason I have Lonela in the desert as well, because she's kind of the character in the middle, she's wrapped up. It would make more sense for her to wear that in the desert where you'd want to protect yourself from intense sun and things of that nature. Like I wouldn't want to put Orana, who's on the right, she's albino. I think she would suffer mightily under crazy, sun. So she's in a more of a temperate environment. It's more forested. She's near a large, kind of like a university for magic, basically, in another region of the world. So that's where her portal is. And then further to the north in the desert is where Bonella is. And I haven't given a name to the one that you're working on right now, but she'll be at a different, even a more varied location.
Gotcha.
And perhaps some of the cues that you've given me about what you thought about will inform me on where to place her as well.
Gotcha. She get like maybe some water area, you know, like some
Hmm.
place where there's heavy water.
Yeah,
Not maybe not necessarily a jungle. I think she got too much clothes, like too many clothes on
yeah.
for a jungle, but maybe some place with waterfalls. Um, I don't know.
Oh, you got some.
Fair enough. But you said you have some, or you?
We have some areas like that. I don't know if you remember the piece that Jordan did. It's also in the first comic called Guardian Falls with the statues of the Orisha and the waterfalls kind of coming down
Gotcha.
and the
Yes.
sunset in the background.
Yeah, I know the piece.
Yeah,
Okay.
she would work near there.
That sounds dope.
Wonder if we could enlarge that at all.
You said you wonder if what?
If we could enlarge that at all, I can see a little cursor moving. I don't. Let's see what you're doing now. Yes. And I know we discussed the markings on their face. So you see, they're not necessarily tattoos, but they're like painted or markings or face markings, basically, on all three of them. And as you can see, the one all the way to the left is more complicated. So we had discussed then, like the simpler it would be signifying that they're less experienced or may perhaps be lower in rank. And the more complicated the face markings and the higher in rank or the elder that Mother of Darkness would be. I thought that was cool.
I think I have. I can pull up the concepts too.
Yeah, we did have different iterations of outfits and face markings and
Yeah, give me just a
things of that
second.
nature. Like I said, it was a very cool and enlightening interaction that we had, um, in addition to the ones that I've had with other artists. And I was like, it only kind of confirmed what I wanted as far. Yeah, there we go.
And we did some testing with that.
Can you enlarge that too? Yeah. So yeah, the more intricate that they got would denote that, as they. And I can see the top one you use number one you use on a runner. The actual picture looks like, but they're in red instead of white there. It was a cool process of going through and then you choose what numbers you want. Which adaptation would you like to do? And I was like, yeah, we can save all of these. I'm like, we'll make the final choices for these three, but there may be others that we use later on. Really
So it's like your own character selection.
Yeah. Yeah, some people in video games, they spend hours just creating the character before they even play the game.
I do. That's
You do?
I do that. I care a lot about that in video games.
I do to a certain point, and then I get to a certain point, yeah, man, I don't want to play the game. Spend 2 hours on his hair.
It matters to me. I'm like, if I'm gonna be spending the whole game with you, I need the character to be cute. Like I need you to be cute. So, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna be looking at them. Also, I guess maybe it's an artist thing. I don't know. But I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna be looking at you this whole game, and I'm gonna see your face close up in the cutscenes cinematically,
Yeah.
I need you to be cute. I need you to look real good. So Did you see me pulling stuff up just now?
What'd you pull up?
Uh, I was pulling up, like, I have something on the screen. No, you can't see it. Never
No, yeah, I don't see anything yet.
mind. Okay. Do you want me to pull up some of the other concept pieces? I
Yeah,
think.
you can do that.
Okay.
Really like Orana's hair.
This one.
Yeah,
Hmm. I had a phone call.
yeah. Zoom in on this. This was so dope. Yeah, at some point we're gonna use all these. These were so nice and kind of intricate. Uh, the
Yeah, I think
styles are
these.
varied. Like they're not all the same.
Hmm. I think these were initial sketches that I did.
Yeah, this one you started because I think I have another. I have a copy of this too, where you sent me like just variations on the color palettes.
Hmm. Yep.
These different styles, different color palettes. The one in the bottom left looked like they should be in like a desert area too.
Hmm.
Almost kind of reminds me of yeah, yep. This was an awesome process.
Hmm. Let's see.
Color variation.
Dang, 2023. Goodness.
Yeah, zoom in up top, 4 and 5 up there. Yeah. So how did you come up with these? Like the variations you gave me. What was the thought process?
Um. Okay. I think. Okay. So it's. I don't remember. Okay. Okay. So I know on the far left, these were the ones picked from uh, these. So
Yeah.
like we had decided this one, and this one, and so I had started here, and I was like, all right, well, let's see where we can go. And so I think here I was just like, all right, so we have this basic thing, or this first pass, and then I wanted to just build on top of it. Like let's just add more, and then this third one, I was thinking, all right, let's do some, let's make it different. I don't want to make stuff too similar. Let's change it up. Let's do some different shapes, but still keep the same feeling.
Yeah.
Um, and then the next one, I was like, okay, let's take that and let's just build on it and make it more extravagant. You know, so it doesn't quite look the same, but it's more. And then this fifth one, same thing. I took the same shape, but I was like, all right, let's build on top of it, but make it different.
Yeah.
Which is that's kind of my thought process through all of these. Like this is where I started, and then I was like, all right, let's take that same one, build on top of it. Let's do more, or if we're if I don't want to keep doing more, I want to, like just adding on without changing.
Hmm.
I'll do the same, but like change the shapes up.
And you took the headdress off
Mhm.
so we could see her hair.
Mhm.
Because I did say that I wanted her to be albino, but I also wanted uh, kind of a big kind of afro and kind of a mane of the yellow whitish hair out and pulled it out. So that was
Mhm.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we were testing um, faces.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you did. You gave me an iteration of different faces, different face paints, kind of head shapes, and you had the afro. Then when the final, you blew that thing all the way out. Her hair is out.
Yes.
So much character in these different little facial expressions. And one that you gave her like a little gap in the teeth there to the right.
She looks so fun.
Yeah,
And this is like a pleasant lady, you know. And she'll tell you sweet things, even if she.
pleasant auntie that's looking at you if you're doing something foolish right there. That's what I
Mhm.
get.
Exactly.
Like she
Yeah.
knows you're messing up, and she's not really gonna say anything, but she doesn't have to because the look says it all.
Hmm. Yeah. And I kept the notes here so I could just keep in mind. Like I try to, if the client is telling me exactly what they want, I'm like, let me keep that at the forefront. So whatever I decide to do, I don't stray, or at least I try to make sure what they ask for is central. Um, and if I have a different idea, then I'll show that, but I'll still try to keep what they want central. Um, but yeah, and then here's, I was trying different colors and seeing how they feel. These are all extremely colorful.
Yes, they are. They're bright. They pop. They definitely pop.
Hmm. Yeah, it was cool. It was fun to explore and try and figure all that out. And then I did testing with the gates too.
Yeah, yeah. There were iterations of the portal behind, which is kind of interesting. When I think I asked for something that kind of lit up, but that would kind of be sort of transparent, and that we could probably drop into various backgrounds.
Hmm.
Yes, those are so nice too. Like this portal of light that would open up. You'd be able to just step through it.
Hmm.
One end of the world. I like that moon. We might have to flesh this out too. I like that moon in the background. Is that the moon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be the one in the desert right there. It'd just be a desert. That would be really nice. Are these layers?
Yeah. Oh, because sorry, I realized you can't see me like turning layers on and off. There. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to remember what everything is.
It's all good. I'm just watching you, and I'm kind of imagining things myself as I see like the portal there. We could even make it so that there's a structure kind of around this, like a physical structure,
Hmm.
and perhaps they can call this being in the portal makes itself known to those around. But if you didn't know it was there, then I'm just thinking of that as I see you kind of pull the layers back and forth. I told you I got a tablet for Christmas.
No, you didn't. Very cool. What
Yeah,
kind of tablet?
Samsung Galaxy A9 Plus.
Okay.
I had fooled with the idea of drawing a while ago and had one before and broke it when I was still in the islands.
Oh wow.
So I even bought like these drawing styluses.
Hmm.
I don't know if you can see.
Oh
There's
wow.
different little tips, and then I broke my tablet.
Mm. How how'd you break it?
I was cooking, and it was sitting up on this ledge by the microwave. I think I was either playing YouTube or something, and it slipped off the ledge. Screen first. I didn't have a case on it. Blap.
It's been 1 month.
No, no, not this one. This was years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean you just broke it? You just
No,
got
no, no. I got this. This is fine.
Okay.
Still here.
Got you. Okay.
It's basically a replacement for the one I had bought years ago.
I see.
I've been using it for everything but drawing. I can't draw. I was just dabbling with the ideas before I met y'all anyway. Before I met you, I was toying with the idea mainly because people were asking even back then about illustrating some of my works. Oh, maybe I could teach myself to draw on a tablet. That way I ain't got to waste paper. That never happened. And probably likely won't. I've dabbled a little bit, but I haven't done it. I haven't made anything yet. And certainly, I think time wise, it'll be by the time I get good, it'll be too late.
It do be a lot.
Yeah. So it's on. We could probably almost make a print of Juanela already with the because you have one that was hooded kind of facing the portal already. When you were pulling the layers back, and it was just there was like the moon in the background. Yeah, that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. And all these portals, they're the different portals for each guardian. Okay.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
When you have time, I know you. What other stuff are you working on right now?
I am working on. I'm doing a comic cover for James Merrill with Thingamajig Studios for his new comic. It's supposed to be coming out this year.
I don't.
What's it called? It's, Akuba. Akuba the Lost Tribe. Yeah, Akuba the Lost Tribe. That's the name of the comic. It's gonna be really cool. I'm excited about the cover. I'm working on Cerise's cover for the second book in her latest series, in the Garden of Light and Shadow. And I am back working on the Bear's Compendium book because at the top of this year, the file that I was working on, like compiling the pieces for the book, got corrupted.
Oh no!
So all is not lost, but there's still stuff I have to just do over. I have to start over. So I'm back working on that, and I'm working on trying to put together a schedule for myself of when I work on all the pieces. So not just working on them, but also talking about it, so I can start to like build community around like my work with that stuff. Like be a consistent presence. So when I try to get funding, do crowdfunding and stuff, people, it's not a surprise, and like people.
So you're switching it up to a compendium, like an art book, basically like with a little bit of lore and the pieces that explain everything.
Yeah, I mean, because honestly, the art book was always the most important thing to me before a comic. So I didn't want to continue. Like, yeah, I mean that's just it. The compendium is more important to me than the comic is, and so I want to finish like the big book first, and then we'll see about a comic. I still have like the stuff for a comic. It's just making the comic is not the most important thing to me. So, but I'm excited about it. It's gonna be really really cool. It's also been really cool to work on in general because like I have like notes, like so many notes over the years about the characters that I can just like finally put in one thing and give it to people. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing something similar, more or less, not similar, but basically an art of book. So it'll be the art of Yambani or the art of Ancient Illumination, maybe combine the two into two halves so I can have enough for at least like 80 pieces around there. Like basically a coffee table book.
Yep.
And the difference being this would be an explanation. So you'd have the art like you have here, and then on the side it'd be an explanation of what's going on, what drew inspiration for it, and things of that nature. So I may do that.
Yeah. So that's what I'm working on for Bearers right now.
Cool.
I'm excited. I'm trying to take the pressure off myself because it's like I this year is like I'm finally making it real, and so
Hmm.
like all this pressure. Um, but I'm trying not to think of it that way. I really just want to do it and put it out there because it's cool. So
I feel the same way about the book I'm working on right now. Like I don't want to rush it, and at the same time, I was like, I want it over with so I can go back to kind of relaxing and be more of a mind of the director rather than them somebody waiting on me to finish this project. It's more or less me overseeing artwork and expansions and other things because that's more fun than me just I'm still in chapter 2 and now I'm chapter 3 and it's like how many chapters was the last book? The last book was 26 chapters and the one before that was 30. I'm like, I'm nowhere close to being done. I'd rather be done and then just kind of direct. But it's not how it is right now. Hopefully I'll be able to make some progress before these conventions really kick in and we have even less time than we had before.
do you like writing it, or is it
I
just
do. It's just trying to find momentum, and then once you get that momentum, ride it. And that's basically the hardest part. Is once you find the joy in that, then it becomes less of a chore. And then I'm just kind of I'm just on a ride.
mhm,
That's where I'm trying to get to. And sometimes it's easier than others getting into that mode. And right now, it's just like the beginning of this year has been like pulling teeth
mhm.
with, and it's basically a lack of focus and discipline. I can't really blame anything else other than that. It's just me. It's not. It's nothing else. It's finding a way to ease myself into that, either by enforcing a routine and getting so used to that it's natural without having it feel forced. Because that's the thing. I don't want. I can come down here and sit all day if I want to,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's not there, and I don't want to just force it. So it's about finding a way to basically make this my writing oasis, and then having it just be there. Um,
Mhm.
versus, I feel like with the second book in the series and the first book, really, because we were on lockdown, I just had no choice. And now we're at a point where I have choice now.
It's interesting. You're not the first person I've heard talk about that who like created a big thing during the pandemic. Because they were forced to. They had nothing else to do but to sit there and just
Yeah,
create, and that's what they did. But now there's so much noise,
yeah.
like, and we're not locked down anymore. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think we might be on the verge of a pandemic without the lockdowns. I don't know.
Self-imposed lockdown because it's too crazy out there.
Yeah, so that could be a thing, but also it's you're not the first person I've heard talk about that. We've been, me and another friend, we've been working through that um, kind of together because it's just. I also think I know for me, like I noticed that like when I was doing a whole bunch of shows, you
Hmm.
know, it can be easy to get swept up in like continuing to just do shows where you network and you show people your work and stuff. But then that work, you do so many and then the work gets old and then you haven't had enough time to like work on like the new thing or update, and kind of keep to a schedule that way. Because it's very easy to, I feel, get into uh, I don't know what the term is. I guess almost like a manager role for yourself, where you're kind of like directing yourself to go places and like talk
Mm,
to these people and show the work here, and you put yourself here, A, B, and C. You talk to these people, you do this interview or whatever else. You run press for yourself, and that's all kind of like operations, kind of
yeah,
like a type managerial type thinking, where you still have to make time for creation, and it's like a whole different thing. You have to sit still to do
yeah,
to do that, and so it's tough. I think this year might be more of a year of me sitting still.
yeah. Ironically, I get the opposite after doing shows. I actually feed off the energy of my readers and potential readers. I find because I've been, you got to give your spiel. What's this book about? What's that
That's
book
true.
about? What about this character? What about that character? And as people kind of get excited about what they see at my table and excited about the characters, it kind of rubs off on me.
It's
Um,
true. And I do agree with that. I do agree with that. It does get very exciting. You're like, oh, that's right, I am making something cool. But it's kind of like I feel like I have to ride that immediately. Like if I don't act on that excitement, like
yeah,
and I'm doing another show right away and I don't act on like building on the excitement, um, that's where I've noticed, the trouble starts with trying to could uh maintain momentum.
yeah.
Yeah.
Scheduling is key. I find that uh, we don't really talk about it, but the conventions can be exhausting when you're
So
there for
exhausting.
2 and 3 days.
Mhm.
That's why I like the 1 day shows. They're often cheaper. I call them one hitter quitters. You get in, you may have paid, 50 to $100 for your table. You're there from like 10 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m., and then you're done. You've either done really well or you've done not so good, but perhaps you've met some really good people that have got to see your work and talk to them. But I find that does get my creative juices going when I see that other people are excited about what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And if there's enough space in between that current event and the events that you have, coming up, I think that could be a lot of room for growth
Mhm.
creatively. At least that's worked for me.
Yeah.
It's a little different, like you said, when okay, we've got a big event this weekend coming up, and the following weekend we have another one.
Yeah.
So
It's
basically,
tough.
all you got to do, you're worried about retooling. I got to buy more inventory to come up to the next
Yeah.
show, and we're driving to Philadelphia. Now we're going to Chicago.
It,
That can be a bit much. But if they're
yeah.
spaced out, scheduling is key. If they're spaced out and good enough, time in between events, I'm hoping starting this coming month that I'll be able to ride that because I'm Far Point. I think is the 7th through the 9th of February,
Mhm.
and they don't have anything else till like March 1st.
Gotcha.
So hopefully, I'll get some sales, but I'll get some good people that'll come by and kind of fuel the fire creatively, so that I can hit the next couple weekends to build some momentum. Then go down to University of Maryland Eastern Shore at the beginning of March, and then bam, I'll have some momentum again in between that. And I think the next show I think is maybe the 7th through the 8th, something like that. I forget when BlurredCon is.
Yeah,
Um,
it's March 7th through the 9th.
yeah, so I have a week between those two, the first and then the 7th through the 9th, I'm there, and then I don't have anything till like mid-April.
Okay.
So,
I'm doing Black Comics Day in San Diego.
oh, that's awesome. Eventually, I'll get out there.
You'll like it. You'll like it. It's a cool crowd. It's a good show. Um, and yeah, I'm doing that show. That's February 15th and 16th, and then I'm doing BlurredCon. And then I don't have anything else, at least until for quite a while. So um, I think the next show I have confirmed is it's Once Upon a Dream or Once Upon a Time. It's a new show.
Okay,
It's going to be at the Harbor. It's a fantasy show. Um,
in Baltimore,
huh?
is it? Where is it?
It's at the National Harbor.
Okay, which
Yeah.
national harbor?
Not in Baltimore, but
Okay, see,
not the Inner Harbor. I feel like
okay,
yeah, the Inner Harbor is Baltimore. National Harbor is near
DC.
Arlington. Um, it's a it's not. Is it Arlington? I don't think it's
So it's Northern Virginia.
Let me actually look this up so I can know for sure. I just know how to get there, and I know it's close to Virginia.
Okay,
It's where MagFest is, where Katsucon is.
oh, that's DC
You know where
then.
the MGM casino? You know where that is?
Nope, I'm not familiar.
Ah, okay. So, all right. It says it's Oxon Hill, Maryland.
Okay,
Yeah. Let me see where else on the map I can reference it. Okay, so it's yeah, it's Oxon Hill, and it's before you cross the bridge to get to Alexandria.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a reference for.
I do. Yeah, when you say Arlington, yeah.
Okay. Have you not been to the harbor before? The National Harbor? It's got a big Ferris wheel.
Nope.
The Gaylord Hotel is there.
Okay, yeah, no, I haven't been. No.
Wow. Okay. Gotcha. I'm surprised. Dang. um, I've been to the harbor so many times, in the Gaylord so many times. You got to make it there at some point. It's just nice. It's a nice hotel. It's a it's a cool area
Okay.
to go to if you're ever down there. I don't like working conventions there or even attending conventions there, but the conventions that are there are fun. And the reason I don't necessarily enjoy it that much is just because like the inner harbor, not the inner harbor, the national harbor, uh, is parking is very challenging there.
Yeah.
Um, and like once you're there, you kind of have to stay there. Like you can't. It's like an island in and of
Okay.
itself. Like you go to the national harbor, uh, and like to get in and out is like highway. So it's not like there's no street parking or anything like that.
Mm.
Uh, you know, it's just a lot. It's its own thing. So um,
Yeah.
the harbor.
Spot Hero.
Very true, very true. And there is parking at like that hotel, and there's a bunch of hotels down there. A
Yeah.
bunch of like really nice hotels. There's nice restaurants and stuff. There's a bunch of restaurants. Um, yeah, it's a cool place to be. Why did I? Oh, because that's where Once Upon a Con, whatever that.
And you said it's a new show. This is the first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was curious about it, and so the price for a table wasn't that much. So it's like, like let's see what it's doing. It's close to me because I think the National Harbor is like 30 minutes away from me driving, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't.
that's the thing. You got to figure out where the shows are, and in reference to where you are.
Hmm.
And that's kind of why, for the most part, we've been hanging around the DMV area. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
DC, Maryland, Virginia. Um, we go to, like I said, Dover. We go to Delaware. Philadelphia's only a couple hours away. Um, if we get in this year, we might try again to go to New York Comic Con. That's a 4 hour drive. The furthest we've got right now is Chicago. That's 12 hours away. Um, since I still got fam there, it's a convenient one to.
Are you driving there?
Yep,
Okay.
I drove last time.
Okay. Yeah.
Last time.
Yeah, the past couple years have been my experience. Yeah, I've been trying to experience more out of town shows as best I could.
Yeah,
I've learned a lot, and now I need to recoup my costs. But but I have learned a lot about what I need to do to be successful at those shows, but also like what kind of shows to do for me and the kind of work I want to do and the kind of people I want to network with and all that kind of stuff. But also, local shows are really good for that too because you never know who's going to be at those. Like you're always surprised. I find I'm always surprised by who is actually attending these shows.
are you talking patrons or guests?
Patrons, like,
Okay.
because I feel most of the time, whether it's a local show or a bigger show, like I don't get to talk to the guests as often as I get to talk to like the patrons. And sometimes the patrons are, you never know who it could be. Could be a publisher, could be somebody in the industry just walking around casual, just
Yeah.
doing stuff. Um, could be best friend of the showrunner and they have all these connections somehow, doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Could be, I don't know, a talk show host in from Canada, and oh, you want to be on my show? Could be anybody. And
Yeah, it's a lot of networking to be done at the shows for sure. And like you said, to learn new things. I know we definitely go out and we swagger jack uh, as far as table setups and what they're like. The art prints that I have, the large ones now, where were we at last year? I think it might have been Galacticon in Richmond. and we saw artists next to us with one of the big uh, frames to hold like big banners with, but they had draped like this crazy looking like quilt thing over it, and then they'd use magnets to hang up their art.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be doing something similar to that
Mm-hmm.
soon, and that way I can take the art prints off of the table, so I have more room for books and comics. So we definitely see things and kind of peep out, oh, this person is doing this similar thing that we do, but they're doing it way more effectively, and it's better displayed. You can see much more of the art and pieces, and we can display the books properly. And then there's not as much of a danger of people walking up and touching things you don't want them touched because they're hanging up in the background, but still not only easier to see, but they're easier to see from a distance, which may help draw people to your table. So, yeah, it's a lot. Conventions are a lot, and there's a lot you can learn. The various ones that you do. Also, you get to see the variance of how uh, different conventions are run from
Mm-hmm.
one event to another.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get to appreciate ones that are more well run than others, and load in, load out experiences. Um, yeah.
Absolutely. You can definitely, it's, you can definitely tell uh, where love and care has been put in. You can tell kind of what the showrunner's focus is by how the
Hmm.
show runs, like what they care about and also what they don't care about.
Yeah.
That has been interesting to see. Uh, you
You've
know,
been to Baltimore Comic Con, right?
hmm
We found it odd, I think last year, that they pulled back the kids programming.
really.
Hmm. There used to be a huge section, like in the middle of the floor or towards the back, because that's usually where Alliance was. And a lot of people bring their families,
Yeah.
and they have panels and drawing sessions there, coloring for the kids and whatnot. And
hmm
that section last year was, I'm hoping they bring it back, but it was completely gone.
I
And
wonder what the reception was this year. Like, because I just, because I saw you there.
yeah,
Yeah, and I wonder, like, I wonder how their sales were.
I think it hurt attendance
Okay.
last year. I think it definitely hurt attendance last year. It was a flux area, kind of a flow area for families that would come through there. They drop off kids, they'd sit there, they would draw, color, listen to whoever was speaking in the middle section, and at the same time, the artists surrounding those areas would get good foot traffic that weren't necessarily right next to uh, the guest booths where people were in line for signatures and pictures and things of that, because sometimes that could be a blessing and a curse to be in those areas because you get the foot traffic for people going into those areas. But if they've got spent $300 on a signed picture of Carl Weathers at the time, then they may or may not have enough to patronize the individual, the indie artists that are near.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you can get really lucky where those people are still willing to spend, or perhaps before they get to the $300 picture, they budgeted it out and they already had that picture paid for, so they could go ahead and spend for some art and some books or some comics or what have you.
hmm
It's just it's a crapshoot. You
Yeah.
never know. Like as a box of chocolates, you never know what you're gonna get.
Very true. I've noticed that with the Awesome Con. I mean, there's a lot of shows, but I feel like it's most prominent to me with Awesome Con, where
Hmm.
like the priority is the guests. Like, and of course, guests are important because they bring a crowd to your show.
Yeah,
But um, I feel like shows where they just prioritize the guests and they don't prioritize the vendors,
yeah.
um, you know, like that. That's telling. But I think Awesome Con has. I'm not sure if they did it last year or not because I didn't work it. I just visited. I just attended. Um, did they highlight their vendors like on their website? Did they, like, did they use their vendors as a draw to the show?
It's the funny thing. It's been a big trend is that the signage has now changed,
Okay.
and not all the time do they have artist alley signage.
hmm
I noticed that some of them, especially Baltimore, And there was different signage for different areas, so it was kind of confusing last year, where it had a couple sections marked Artist Alley, and then we had this weird area where there was also the food vendor area. And it was kind of the lighting was dark, and some of the artists, we called it the dungeon, because like the lighting was dark in this one area. There was a bunch of food vendors. People would go over there to eat, but I kind of probably would have been upset had I had a table over there because it was just dark and people would be able to see very well. And it was weird. But yeah, a lot of the bigger conventions are kind of going more to this guest heavy focus, and less on. Funnily enough, comics is not really the focus anymore at comic cons. It's
Hmm.
weird. And we didn't get to do New York last year. We did the year before, but that was a whole different animal though. In New York, whole different beast. Like, everything was there. Um, I think they did both. They catered to comics, they catered to their guests and vendors as well. Um, but it's a whole nother monster. It's so big at New York,
Wow.
crazy.
Hopefully one day I'll get there. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I will. Maybe not this year, but hopefully, because the biggest thing I think I've talked to you about this before, but one of the biggest things I learned from doing all the shows that I've done is like people really want a complete thing. Like they want a big thing that's done that they can
Mhm.
sink their teeth into. Like people don't really want pieces of stuff. People will take it, but like you know, the majority of people they're like, oh, is it where's the second issue? Where's the whole thing? You
I
know,
think you'd be surprised at New York.
really?
Yeah,
Okay,
because the buyers there are different.
okay,
I think they pretty much take what you got. In whatever form or fashion it is, people I think would see you, they would like you, they would dig your art, they would vibe with that, and then enough people. Because that was the thing. It was super expensive, but it was worth it.
okay.
Um, Even to the point where I know some vendors change their prices at New York because they know people got it there. And even if they don't got it, they're getting it somehow.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay, good to know.
yeah,
But I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. Not every show is the same for sure. I just the big thing that I noticed was like, all right, if I'm gonna have a thing, people like a full set or a big completed thing. So whether it's like an art series, people want a lot of like that one thing.
yeah.
If you're gonna have a series, have a lot of it and have it be like a complete set. If you're gonna have like a book, let the book be finished. In
Yes,
people want the book, whatever it is. Let it be a finished thing of it. You know, so which is fair because people are like, all right, well, I'll just hold off until it's done.
till it's done. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. So which valid, uh, but it still helps. But you don't need to necessarily spend so much money to get yourself places when stuff is not like done.
Yeah.
I don't regret it. I've met so many amazing people that have helped me get to where I am now. You know, it's I love shows in general. Like I'm more. I feel like I was less business minded and more just like I don't know. I just want to go to the shows. I love shows.
Ironically, that's a majority of creatives at first. I think
Hmm.
um, a lot of people don't necessarily think of themselves as business people, but you're thrust in places where you have to become a business person in order to thrive and keep going to that environment. You can't keep knocking your head up against the wall, spending money at these events, getting these materials.
That's where I am now.
Yeah, you just a lot of people, writers too. Writers are like that too. I just want to write the thing and create the thing, and then I'm done. Like, well, no, you're actually a marketer now because you have to get this idea out to people and make people aware of what you're offering.
Yeah,
You can't just make it. You don't just if you build it, they will come. Only works in Field of Dreams, not.
that only works if you've already been built.
Yeah,
Like if you've been built and people already know who you are.
yeah,
Then you can build the thing and people will come.
yeah.
You know, so
Well, I still think these are really cool, Jocelyn. I like these characters. I look forward to us fleshing them out further. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to chat with me about our collaboration and world building. We've had one lurker in here the entire time as we've been live, whoever you are. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch us and discuss these things. This will be the first Askari Cast that I will release on Spotify for podcasters as a video instead of just audio. Plus, I don't think it would make much sense if I did this just audio.
Yeah,
I mean, it could work too, but as you know,
this
we
was a
have the
very
images up.
visual.
Yeah,
This is a very visual episode.
yeah, the images up on screen as we discussed the processes and things of that nature. You kind of have to watch and not just listen.
Hmm.
Thanks again, and we'll figure out what we're talking about either next week and the week to come after that. I'm not sure when that will be, uh, but we will get to it. And again, I'll add a link to both my website and to your website so people can peep your art out as well if they're interested in patronizing those things. We appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Thanks for coming. We will see you all soon.
See y'all.
Later.